Have you ever dreamed of being wealthy using real estate? If you answered yes, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. Big Fat Real Estate Checks, hosted by Marco Kozlowski. Available on all podcast platforms. It's a podcast about investing in U.S.-based multifamily real estate. If you want to replace your JOB income with passive income for life, host Marco Kozlowski's proprietary systems and processes can help you get there. And you don't necessarily need money or credit to do it. Marco has been in real estate for over 20 years and has learned lessons, horror stories, and an entertaining and fun way of teaching you how to win the game of cash flowing real estate without breaking the bank, without risk, and without using any of your credit. He has hundreds of successful students who used his systems and processes to replace their income and retire. Check it out today and learn from Marco. His podcast is filled with valuable information that you can actually use. You will learn how to build real, generational wealth. No get-rich schemes here. Add Big Fat Real Estate Checks with host Marco Kozlowski to your playlist right now. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And please make sure to follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to on. All right, today's a sad day. Kim Potter, the police officer, the lady cop, policewoman, in the Daunte Wright incident, has been found guilty of first and second degree manslaughter with Daunte Wright. I want to read through this story, and then we'll talk about it. But this is really a bad verdict, and it's just a terrible thing. But let's read through this story. Ex-Brooklyn Center cop Kim Potter, this is in the Daily Mail I'm reading from, has been found guilty of first and second degree manslaughter for shooting 20-year-old Daunte Wright dead, marking the end of a dramatic 8-day trial. The decision came after close to 28 hours of deliberations, during which jurors had at times seemed hopelessly deadlocked. The jury of 6 men and 6 women, 9 white, 2 Asian, and 1 black, alerted the judge that they had reached their verdict shortly before noon on the 4th day of deliberations. And, of course, they took her away in handcuffs. Cop denied to extend her bail. Now, and the jury earlier this week had said that they were deadlocked and they sent them back. Now, before we talk about the details, this is a very bad verdict. I don't like this thing that goes on in juries where they go back, they vote, they can't reach a verdict. They come to this very strange judge with the creepy voice, this lady judge. Very creepy. She sounds like a phone sex operator. Doesn't she, the way she talks?
She talks so slow. I think it would be very frustrating to have a conversation with her because she talks like half the speed of a normal person.
You know who she talks like? Jackie Kennedy when she was high on drugs when she was first lady.
A little bit, yeah. They're very slow.
Marilyn Monroe.
Like she talks like this.
Creep.
You're like, okay, let's go. Come on, let's get it.
So the jury comes back, says they're deadlocked, and actually asked, what do they do if they're deadlocked? And she sent them back in. And this is what I don't like. And if anyone has served on a jury, let us know what you think about all this in the comments.
I wonder what changed between then. That was 2 days ago.
You know what changed?
And now.
I'll tell you what changed. They wanted to get home for Christmas.
Yeah.
But this is what I don't like.
That's exactly
This
right.
is what I don't like, okay? They got Christmas shopping to do tomorrow.
That's true.
They say, and I know this is the system and how it works, but it doesn't mean it's right. So they come back and say they're deadlocked, and then they say, if we're deadlocked, what do we do? So she sends them back for more deliberations. And this is the part I don't like. So this is what happens. They go back and wear people down and get them to switch their verdict and talk to them and convince them and debate them.
Well,
I don't like that.
If you have, like, say, 2 or 3 people that are
one,
not even one, but let's say 2, for the sake of argument, 2 people that are not guilty, and then you have 10 that are guilty. You're right. The jurors in that room are going to put pressure on them, and they're going to be like, look, it's Christmas in 2 days.
I haven't done any shopping.
We all
yet.
want to go home.
Tomorrow's Christmas Eve.
We've been stuck here for 2 weeks. It's the holidays, blah, blah, blah. And you're right. And they do some convincing. I really thought it would be a hung jury. And they were interviewing Judge Janine on Fox about it, and I respect her opinion. She said that she was negligent, and according to the laws of that state, she did break some laws.
Well, I don't agree
in the whole thing. Well, I'm just saying what Judge Janine said.
No, she's wrong.
And I have said this, and another lawyer who was on Fox said the same thing. Her attorney was horrible. He said her lawyer was not good. He did her no favors, and he said, I've said that all along, and I said that too. Her lawyer stunk, and the prosecution totally destroyed her credibility. And they made the jury think, how can a cop who's 25 years experience, who's been carrying her gun on her right hip for 25 years, how can she mistake that for a taser? And she made a good case about how she has training in de-escalating situations. And she made the case that her experience did not line up with her actions. And it made no sense why she acted the way she did. So they put a lot of those thoughts in the jury's mind. Her attorney argued with her. He admonished her for interrupting him. He did not bring up anything like what was going through your mind.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, why were you afraid? He was horrible. You and I thought it was the prosecution at first.
He was incompetent.
Interviewing her. That's how bad he was.
He yelled at her when she was on the stand.
He did her no favors.
Well, so just to go back a little bit, then we'll get into this. But going back, these juries and wearing other jurors down, and it's like, okay, here's my verdict. That's outrageous. That's not justice. That's just wearing people down.
Peer pressure.
Right on the eve of Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong. Now, this thing with the confusion of the taser and the gun, I do believe Kim Potter. She may have been a police officer for 26 years, but she's not a tough, regular street cop. This guy, Daunte Wright, okay? Daunte Wright was wanted. He had a warrant, and her lawyer didn't he was totally incompetent. He should be, retired. He said they had to put off the sentencing because her defense team, each of them have different trials coming up next month. Let me tell you something. If you are a client-facing trial with one of these two idiots, fire them and get a new lawyer.
And they might too.
These guys are like prosecutors, not defense attorneys. They get clients convicted.
If she had a better lawyer, I think she would have had a hung jury.
A competent lawyer.
At least, yeah.
She would have been acquitted because she should have been. Daunte Wright, it's a tragedy what happened, but Daunte Wright put things in action that got him killed, and he was not out on bail. He was a bail jumper. He was wanted. He had a warrant out for his arrest on a very serious weapons charge, and the prosecutor came up and it made it sound like it was parking tickets he was wanted for. He robbed a woman at gunpoint. He pulled a gun on a woman, robbed her at gunpoint, choked her, put his hand down her bra, stole her rent money, which was like $850, okay? And he got out on bail. He screwed that up, so he's got a warrant out because he violated the terms of his bail. He's driving around in a with a suspended license on a car that the tag is no good on, and he's smoking weed, okay? And he's, this guy, and when they pulled him over and they're talking to him, he went to jump back into the car to make an escape. And when he went back into the car, when you got a guy pulled over on a weapons charge, a handgun charge like this, and an armed robbery, you got to assume he's going for the gun. The mistake that Kim Potter made was yelling taser, taser, taser. If she wouldn't have yelled taser, she would have been probably not jammed up like this. Now, not that it would have been high profile.
Well, because
the taser, when she yelled taser, which is part of their training is to yell that, Kathy, because they want to make sure that one of the other officers doesn't have their hand on the suspect, so they don't get the shock. So the fact that she yelled taser, 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 that's instinct. Some police departments, this is very strange to me, but some police departments, they train their officers that if they're using their gun and they're firing, after every shot, holster the weapon. And police officers that are trained like that do that. And when she yelled taser, 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 to me, that's proof that she made a mistake because that response was instinctive. But the question is, it's one thing, Kathy. The question is, was it a justifiable shooting if she wouldn't have yelled taser? If she meant to have the gun and shot him when he was diving back in the car, this guy on bail for a weapons charge, would that have been a justified shooting? I'd say yes.
Well, the problem is because she yelled taser, taser, taser. She also admitted she had never used her taser, not once, which was shocking. In fact, I don't think she had ever used it even in training. She admitted, but the fact that she yelled that is what really I think damaged her, because it was not because the prosecution. It made it almost look. They made the case that she was being deceptive, because there's no way that a cop of 25 years who has always carried her pistol on her right dominant hand, and when a taser is bright yellow and twice the size, even though it's lighter too, it's lighter. But there's no way, because when she held that gun out, okay, and pointed at him, she could see it was a pistol. I mean, that's what the prosecution was saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't bright yellow. It was clearly not a taser. A taser does not look like, it's the same shape, but it is boxy and it is bright yellow. Okay. She also carries her pistol on the right. She was still using her right hand. Or whatever dominant hand she was where she carried her gun always. So because she yelled that, the prosecution was able to make the case that she was deceptive and that she knew what she was doing. And, and they kept, her lawyer kept trying to make it out like she was sorry and this and that. Well, a lot of people are sorry. That's not a defense. That doesn't mean anything. You could go out and shoot somebody on purpose and then feel bad about it. You're still going to go to jail. I mean, so I think her attorney did a bad job. She made a lot of tactical errors, and the rookie was the one who decided to pull this person over, apparently. So thanks to him, she's going to spend the rest of her life in jail, or however long. She's 50 years old. I think she's going to get at least 25 years, for this. She's got 2 counts. No. I wouldn't have charged her with first-degree manslaughter. I would have charged second or third. If I was going to charge her. Well, I'm saying if I was going to charge her with anything, she was negligent. She did make some mistakes. But so did Daunte. They're taking away his accountability, but I guess he paid the ultimate price, is the way the jury saw it. He's dead. So, he was no Boy Scout.
The reason she was convicted for 2 reasons. Maybe more than 2, but she was convicted for a couple reasons. One, the taser shows that she made a mistake, so they got her on the manslaughter. But the main mistake was that she's in a very liberal state, Minnesota. They just had that that big case with Floyd, and then
that's right.
And you got to remember, Al Franken was elected the senator of Minnesota. Okay, and Paul Wellstone and Walter Mondale. Minnesota
very liberal.
Is a very liberal place, and liberals hate cops. You know what liberals call cops? Pigs.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's right.
So
don't be a cop in a blue state.
If you're in a liberal place,
yep.
You're in a liberal place, and you're a cop, and something like this happens, you're being judged by a bunch of liberal, very liberal, and I'm not talking about young snowflake millennials. Maybe I don't know their ages, but Minnesota is a state that some of the most liberal people, and in fact, more liberal than even California liberals and New York liberals. People don't realize this. You got Al Franken, Walter Mondale, Paul Wellstone. You guys remember Paul Wellstone? He was like the first green guy, He died in a plane crash. It was pretty tragic, okay? But he was a very liberal guy. Minnesota is has brought us some of the biggest liberals in the last 50 years. So that's another problem. And so those of you that are around the country, if you're a police officer in a liberal state,
move
quit.
to Florida.
Yeah, come to Florida and or some other red state, but get out of your liberal state because you're in trouble. And I'll tell you something here. This is a terrible thing for many reasons, not just because Kim Potter is going to go away, probably for the rest of her life, because cops don't do well in prison, and she's an older lady. She's 5'3". My goodness, they should have her like in a special safety place, like just.
She's not going to make a lot of friends.
In
prison. That's
the way
sure.
things are going, with these liberals, they're putting so many cops in jail. They could have just a prison of cops.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like a special prison just for cops. I don't think so. This is for their safety they should.
That's what I'm saying.
But here's the thing. This tells Black Lives Matter and Antifa they're in charge, not the police.
And it tells them also that the rioting is effective.
This is scary.
That's what it tells them.
I didn't catch where this was at, but last night on Newsmax TV, Greg Kelly showed some of the most disturbing body cam footage from a cop I've ever seen. A police officer, if you know where this was, let us know in the comments of the show. You got
to watch Greg Kelly. His show is amazing.
7 o'clock Eastern on
amazing
Newsmax.
Show.
But he had body camera footage from a police officer. A police officer gets a call to an apartment building. There's a guy with a gun who doesn't live in the apartment building, outside of the apartments. He gets there. The guy's got the gun in his hand. He's pointing it at the cop. The cop's afraid.
He's a black guy.
Yeah, the cop's black. The guy's black. The cop's white, and the guy with the gun is black. The white police officer is so afraid because of Kim Potter and George Floyd and Brown and all these cases. He's afraid to use his gun. The guy points the gun at the police officer, runs the cop off.
Yeah, he starts chasing the cop.
He even shoots at the officer, and the officer is afraid to even shoot back.
He didn't even draw his gun.
Because he's afraid that he'll be on trial like Kim Potter.
That's right. It's a real fear that police officers have now, and I think that's a fear that the Black Lives Matter want. I'm not saying there's cops that don't. There was a cop here in Florida that was convicted, rightfully so. There was a black guy in the middle of the night sitting near a overpass, and his car had broken down, and he was on the phone waiting for his family to come give him a ride, and he was just sitting there, and an off-duty cop pulled up and killed him for no reason. They had the audio of it.
No, that is true.
He just got convicted of like 40 years of jail, which he should have been convicted of.
But Kim Potter shouldn't be in jail for 6 seconds.
Well,
she should be home, especially over Christmas.
I think she made mistakes. I don't think she should be in jail either. She did make some mistakes that led to this. She didn't help the situation, but they really seem to leave out the whole. I'm really surprised she got convicted, to be honest with you, because Daunte did escalate things. He did try to escape. He did have a record, and I thought that was typical police procedure. If somebody tries to run or goes in their car and could be reaching for something, I thought cops had the right to shoot first and ask questions later. I mean, that's what I always thought it was, no matter what color your skin is. But now things are changing with things. I don't know. These body cams, I don't know. I mean, are they a good idea? When did this all start? They all carry them? I mean, I just don't know. I would love to hear from police officers. Do you worry about this? I mean, this happened so fast. She didn't plan on this happening. She didn't have intent of killing this kid. And I would take that into account. But things happen. Things escalate quickly. And when people have guns in the mix, somebody could get shot and killed. Is that something police officers, I would worry about that. I don't know if I'd want to be a cop these days, because this could happen to anybody, on the job.
We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Lyndon N. Smith comes a book that is popular science with a twist. It's both entertaining and educational. Why You Can't Catch a Rocket to Mars. Some personal reflections on science and society. Available on Amazon. If you are a lover of science and technology, this richly illustrated book is for you. No matter what age and what level of understanding of physics you have. Have you ever wondered why you can't catch a rocket to Mars, Jupiter, or Pluto, or even the nearest star? When you read Why You Can't Catch a Rocket to Mars, you will learn about what has been holding back science and technology for many years and what we can do about it. You will obtain a fascinating glimpse into a wide range of fantastic future possibilities that include artificial intelligence, androids, invisibility, nanotechnology, space elevators, interstellar travel, and more. The author encourages readers to reach for the stars and to realize a new golden age for humanity. You will understand why we need to spend more time and effort on looking to the fantastic possibilities of the future. And you will never view Sherlock Holmes or Star Trek in the same way again. Why You Can't Catch a Rocket to Mars. Some personal reflections on science and society from author Lyndon N. Smith. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Order your copy right now. In today's world, you need an amazing website to make a real impact for your company. After all, a good first impression can make or break your business. TheSoftCode.com is your one-stop shop for all your needs. They specialize in professional web design and development. Their mission is to improve their clients' online footprint by creating better user experiences. TheSoftCode.com offer custom web design services, including branding, e-commerce, mobile app development, search engine optimization, and a whole lot more. TheSoftCode.com has a step-by-step process to ensure you are completely satisfied. Visit their website right now and learn what they can do for you. TheSoftCode.com. There's no doubt, today more than ever, we all need a little uplifting. Times are scary, and the world can seem lonely and frightening, but God is always present. God loves us and wants us to know He is here and always there when we need Him. The Warriors for Christ podcast seeks to uplift, edify, and encourage you to be the light and salt in a dark and tasteless world. They have new episodes weekly. Be sure to subscribe and share the Warriors for Christ podcast with your friends and family. Find the Warriors for Christ podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and on their website, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. That's the number 4, warriorsforchrist.podomatic.net. Warriors for Christ, letting the Bible speak and teach for itself.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for listening, and make sure to follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on. You know this very weird nurse dancing video at the White House? It's all over Twitter today.
Yeah, singing and dancing.
Okay. I have nothing against nurses, doctors, first responders, people that work in hospitals. They do good jobs. And I know people that are nurses and doctors in hospitals and other things, and they're good people. However, nurses and doctors in the emergency rooms as well as hospitals and everything, the way that they're being treated like they're veterans of the D-Day invasion by some people. And I understand, what's going on here, but this endless celebration of the nurses just seems so weird. And this
what's weird is, how do they have time to choreograph and practice a whole routine that involves dancing and singing at the White House? I mean, I thought they were so overwhelmed. And Washington, I'm sure they're from a local hospital. Washington, D.C. is a busy place. Well, I'm sure. I mean, if they're so overwhelmed, how do they have time to practice a routine that they're going to perform on television or whatever?
What they did is they brought a bunch of nurses in their scrubs to the White House, and I think it's the East Room. I've been in the East Room. That's the East Room.
Yeah, with those beautiful portraits of George and Martha Washington.
The East Room is where presidents usually give press conferences. If it's in a big room, it's in the East Room, and they have the balls there and stuff. But they did this very strange singing and dancing Christmas routine there. Here's the thing, okay? On the one hand, the Democrats tell you that the nurses and doctors in the hospital through the pandemic are like the heroes of the Normandy invasion, okay? But on the other hand, if they don't comply to the mandate, they're going to not only lose their job, lose their ability to earn a living in that field. So they're either heroes or not.
Yeah, it's confusing. In fact, we have a friend who's a physician in California, and he told me starting February 1st that if the doctors and nurses don't get their booster, they will be fired. And he's thinking about that.
Yeah, well,
he's not happy.
The thing, I'll tell you, they're either heroes or they're not heroes.
Exactly. That's confusing.
And if they're heroes, like the Democrats tell us, you don't take away their livelihood and their ability to make a living.
Yeah, and then call them heroes in the same breath. But, the messaging has just been very confusing from the beginning on this with the Biden administration. Like I said, they tell you that the hospitals are overwhelmed, but then they have to have nurses doing dance routines and singing that require practice and choreography and things like that. Then they tell you the doctors and nurses are heroes, And then they'll turn around and say, but if they don't get their vaccine, we're going to fire them. So there's a lot of confusing messaging going on with all of this. They tell you Omicron is spreading like crazy, but nobody gets sick. I mean, everything's confusing. And I think because they're getting information from so many different places and people want instant information put out there, and they're not, they can't control what gets out there. And then they try to explain it, and it's just not going well. It's just a big mess. Hot mess.
I don't want to talk about the details of the interview just yet. We'll maybe do that next time. But Candace Owens interviewed President Trump, and I watched the interview. And let me tell you something. I'm a big fan of Candace Owens. Okay, I've always been cautious of her because she was a never Trumper in the first campaign, and she's changed since she went to this Ben Shapiro outfit. Okay. Now, Candace Owens, before she went to work for Ben Shapiro, was a huge star. She left Turning Point USA, but she was real big, and she had that Blexit national tour scheduled, which was taken off of Brexit. And it was a tour of, blacks leaving the Republican Party. I mean, leaving the Democrat Party and becoming Republicans.
It's a great movement.
Yeah, leaving the Democrat Party and coming to the Republican, not the other way around. And because of COVID, it got shut down. In fact, I had tickets to go to the very first event. I was going to take our daughter, had an opportunity.
Yeah, Emily was excited to meet her.
Yeah, we were going to meet Candace Owens, and it was right at the beginning of the COVID outbreak, before any lockdowns or shutdowns, and I just didn't think it was a good idea to go, and we did not go. But that whole tour got shut down because of COVID, and then she took this job with Ben Shapiro, and I told you guys then, I talked about this at the time, this is going to be the end of Candace Owens as we know it, because Ben Shapiro's a never Trumper. And my belief with Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro was this. I think it was very calculating. Candace Owens was a very big influencer prior to going to Ben Shapiro. And I know she was trending on Twitter today, but it's not the same thing. She was going places and doing things, and her Blexit tour wasn't just about blacks leaving the Democrats and coming to the Republican Party. It was about blacks leaving the Democrat Party and becoming MAGA. And I said at the time, and I believe this, that Ben Shapiro and the Never Trumpers that he's friends with brought Candace Owens over to the Ben Shapiro sphere of influence. He's got his own thing, like, Glenn Beck has the Blaze, Shapiro's got his thing. They brought her over there to get her out of circulation, to get control of her, and to get her, stop her from promoting MAGA. And a lot of people told me I was crazy at the time. Ben Shapiro, not only is a never Trumper, he wrote a column titled "Why I Will Never Vote for Donald Trump." Remember that?
Yeah.
So I think the never Trumpers, and led with Ben Shapiro, brought Candace Owens over there to stop what she was doing, bringing blacks to MAGA. And I watched this interview that she did with President Trump, and it was I've watched a few interviews with her and people since she went to Ben Shapiro, and she's changed a lot. Two things have changed. The second one I just noticed today. The first one, no matter who she's interviewing, it's always about her. She's always talking about herself. No matter how famous the person is because the ego. But what I noticed with her interview with President Trump, and you guys can go and watch her interview with President. Well, you got to subscribe to the Ben Shapiro thing, which I hate doing.
We saw a clip.
Yeah, I saw it. Well, I've seen a few clips actually online. She has picked up a very, very, very negative thing from Ben Shapiro. She's now talking as fast as Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
Ben Shapiro talks he's almost like an auctioneer, and he's very well aware of this. I've heard him talk about it. He says, "I talk fast because I have so much to say, and I don't have enough time, so I have to talk fast to get all this information out." And if you go and watch Candace Owens talk to President Trump, not only is she constantly interrupting President Trump, which to me is a big no-no. With Donald Trump, you have President Trump, you ask a question and you just let him talk, and then you wait till he's done, then you ask another. She was interrupting him, which I didn't like, but she is talking as fast as Ben Shapiro almost.
I thought she was really obnoxious
With President Trump?
I'm sorry.
I didn't like it.
I think her ego has gotten completely out of control.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it on her face. You can see the way she talks, the way she carries herself. She's become kind of a diva, I think. And I think she's become very full of herself and
yes,
and very arrogant. I used to really like her, but I think any humility she's had has gone completely away.
Oh, yeah.
The
fast talking's got to stop.
I just thought she was totally obnoxious. And you're right. Now, when you watch clips of her show, everything's about her. Everything. Because in her mind, what she has to say is the most important thing. Even more important than what Trump has to say.
She's changed, yeah.
So if you can watch clips of that, you'll see what we're talking about. It was very disappointing.
Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, everyone. And if you would like to support the show by becoming a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this episode. There's a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And also, you could just go directly there. It's patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. Patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. There's great perks to becoming a Patreon supporter. The knowledge that you're supporting this very, very important program, which has been named the number 3 must-listen-to conservative podcast. You also get commercial-free editions of each and every episode of the podcast. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on each and every episode. So the names you're going to hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jacqueline, Rick, Rich, and Nick, our top Patreon supporters. Thank you to all of you. I want to give an update on Sarah, the update on Sarah is I'll let you give the update on Sarah, Kathy.
Well, her cousin let us know that she's still on a ventilator.
For 3 weeks now, she's been on a ventilator.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Her oxygen needs are going down, which is good. She's at like 50%. She was at 65% last week, but they have to keep her on her stomach to keep that number low. Which I've read that people with COVID, they do better. Breathe better if they're on their stomach.
Yeah.
So they're doing that. So that's good. She's not getting worse, but she's still on a ventilator. I was really hoping she'd be home by now, but hopefully over the next week, it's going to be a long recovery for her.
Oh, yeah.
Because when the virus gets in your lungs, it can cause a lot of damage and wreak a lot of havoc in there. So, it's not, even when she goes home, I think she'll be recovering for quite a while. But the good news is she's hanging in there and her oxygen needs are a little less. That's good. She's not getting worse. She's a little better. So I'm happy about that because we've been very worried about her. Did you see where this Madison Cawthorn got a divorce after 8 months?
Yeah. From his cross-training wife.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know too much about him.
They're too young to be married.
Well, he's, his career is just starting off, okay? And even though he's in a wheelchair, he's a very good-looking guy, and he looks like a Ralph Lauren model. And I'm sure he has a lot of girls throwing themselves at him, and she's stuck at home, apparently. He says that was part of the problem, was his job and his traveling. I don't know why she can't travel with him. I guess she has a job, she can't leave. But he's never home, he's traveling all the time. And so that's difficult when you're married. But you marry a politician, that's the way it is. Your husband or wife, they're rarely home. They're rarely home when you marry a politician. That's the way it is. It's like marrying somebody in the military. They're always deployed. They're off somewhere.
Well, you know what I wonder, though?
You're stuck home with the kids.
I don't buy it. I didn't know anything. I knew that he had gotten married. There's
probably more to it, though.
I didn't know anything about her or anything until today. This Madison Cawthorn divorce is in every news publication, New York Post, everything. So she is they say a CrossFit trainer.
Yeah.
And it seems like whenever someone takes a picture, she has to be sweaty. It has to be from the side.
She's posing.
She has to be in workout clothes.
Muscles bulging.
And she has to have like the underwear bikini bottom part partly down so you can see the definition.
I think this
is what I'm thinking.
They just got married. There was like a lot of lust and not a lot of love.
This is what I think. a CrossFit trainer does nothing but work out, and he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And somebody that's a gym junkie can't be with somebody that's in a wheelchair. It's just not going to work out. They're too young, and that's why. It's because he's in a
it would make it difficult.
She's leaving him because he's confined to a wheelchair.
You think so?
Is my guess. Yeah, because she somebody that's a CrossFit trainer, all they do is work out.
Well, there's
everything, and their whole life revolves around the workout.
They said in this article in the Daily Mail that 30 women have complained about him about sexual harassment.
Oh, please.
30. That's a lot, and well, including his wife's sister.
Can he have sex? Is he? I don't know what his.
No clue.
Yeah.
I'm sure he could. Does he feel it though? Because I think they can put something to make it erect, but
I don't know.
Getting into weird.
I don't know.
But I don't know if he can feel anything below the way. I have no clue. But he was in a car accident because he had his legs out the window, and that's what caused his paralysis. He wasn't sitting in. You got mad at me because I would always sit with my feet on the dashboard or up on the, and so I don't do that anymore because it's just comfortable. And you're like, no. If we get in a car accident, so that's what happened with him. I don't know. I think they just met and were attracted to each other, and they're like, oh, let's get married. And then reality hit in, and they're like, this isn't going to happen.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Back after this.
From author Bob C. comes the book Dad, winner of the 2021 IAN Book of the Year Awards for literary and general fiction, and a 2021 Indie Reader Discovery Award winner, available on Amazon. In Dad, Jacob Martin's life isn't going well. His marriage is falling apart. His job is on the border of legal and illegal, and he's living in what could generously be described as a dump. Now Dad, whose memory and mental faculties aren't exactly what they once were, has decided to drive from Cincinnati to Colorado for a surprise visit. At least that was the plan, until John got lost along the way. Forced into an unplanned road trip to retrieve his father, Jacob finds love, enlightenment, and ultimately himself along the way. This book is perfect for book clubs. Dad, from author Bob C. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Imagine if you could combine your love of crypto with just about any vanity or lifestyle theme. Well, now you can at StellarShop.org. Stellar Shop brings themes to life in cryptocurrency and is the originator of vanity and lifestyle money in the new and exciting world of cryptocurrency. Align your money with causes you care about, like dolphins and sea turtles or anything in between. From Woodstock to medbeds, they have over 100 to choose from, so you can buy, sell, trade, or swap crypto on the Stellar XLM network. Stellar Shop also has over 20 charity themes that benefit from your usage. Grab your favorite Stellar wallet and join the revolution and the future of money through blockchain quantum finance. Stellar Shop also sets up custom-made business crypto and payment systems for any business. Get in on the crypto craze, and maybe you can be the one telling that next crazy crypto story. Visit StellarShop.org today for vanity and lifestyle crypto assets. That's StellarShop.org. Now available on Amazon, the newest book from author J.N. Jameson, The Black Crescent. The Black Crescent is a sea adventure and fantasy time travel novel. Trapped behind enemy lines on an uncharted island, 2 days ago, rescue skipper Jim McGraw and his crew left on a distress call to save a boat on the high seas. Now, they vanished without a trace. Pulled through a mysterious black wall, they landed on a tropical island overrun by Viking warriors. How can these 21st century rescuers help the desperate islanders take back their nation? Find out when you read The Black Crescent from author J.N. Jameson, available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Author J.N. Jameson served in the United States Coast Guard for over 20 years as a navigator, search and rescue skipper, and master training specialist. He brings his knowledge and experience in true life rescues at sea into this must-read book, The Black Crescent. Order your copy right now on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Okay, now I I saw a story today about somebody I would not normally talk about, S.E. Cupp. I haven't talked about S.E. Cupp in a long time. She's over on CNN, and she's a conservative. Mm-hmm. And she was talking about President Trump's January 6th event. President Trump on January 6th, the anniversary of the Capitol breach, is having a press conference here in Florida at Mar-a-Lago. And S.E. Cupp, she said this, that she's nauseous over Trump's January 6th plans and doubts that the GOP will see Jesus, she said. Okay, she's a Republican. S.E. Cupp, who I have never liked S.E. Cupp. She used to be on Fox.
And she started on The Blaze.
She started with Glenn Beck.
Yeah.
She started with Glenn Beck. I remember the first time I heard S.E. Cupp, because it was so bizarre. Some of you, if you heard this, you would remember. It was on Glenn Beck's show, and he introduced her. And what he did, Kathy, this was unbelievable. He said, he did this. In studio, he was like doing a dating game thing in his mind. In studio, I have S.E. Cupp. She hunts, she fishes, and she's single, guys. And then he introduced her, and then she did a podcast on The Blaze for a while, like, you know. And what I never liked about S.E. Cupp, you know, and this is just a thing with me. She's an atheist, okay? And I don't have a problem with any, you know, we're Christian. I don't have a problem with what anyone's religion is. I don't judge people based on their religion, right? Christian, Jews, Muslims, if you're a Buddhist, people's religions don't bother me. Even the Scientologist, all that stuff, none of that bothers me. But atheists creep me out. Atheists creep me out. I don't like atheists because I get a sense, and I know some of you guys, you can let me know in the comments what you think about this. I just get like a feeling of evil from atheists. And, you know, the thing about, I give an example. I was a huge fan of Ricky Gervais. I think he's one of the funniest people that have ever produced television. He is more talented than Seinfeld. That his version of The Office, oh my goodness, it's some of the most brilliant television ever written. The British version of The Office, and if you've never seen Ricky Gervais's Extras, I mean, you know, I didn't know he was an atheist. He did a movie. That's how I found out about it, called The Invention of Lying. Mm-hmm. It took place in a world where everything was literal truth. They believed in no God, and through the course of the movie, it was an atheist movie. In the course of the movie, I stopped watching, never finished watching it. They were going to make up God to people, and it was like, whoa. And then I realized he was like, atheism's big in the UK, and I do not watch Ricky Gervais anymore. I don't watch his shows. I don't watch his movies. None of it. It turns me off. And S.E. Cupp's an atheist. I don't like atheists.
It doesn't bother me.
Creeps me
so
out.
Much that if somebody's an atheist, that's their decision. I mean, you know, I don't understand it.
It creeps me out.
But what bothers me is, and what I really don't understand, is when atheists go out of their way to blaspheme God and the Holy Spirit. When they go out of their way to prove their point that God is not real, and they make it their, why do they, if they don't, and this is the paradox, if they don't believe in God, then why do they spend so much time talking about God and spend so much time trying to prove he doesn't exist? That would be like me trying to prove leprechauns don't exist. It makes no sense to me. If you meet an atheist, they talk about God all the time. And that should tell you something, because we have an innate nature to believe in God. We're born with it.
Yeah.
And you have Muslims, Jews, and Christians all believe in the same God. They're all Abrahamic religions. You have Hindus that believe in multiple gods. 95% of the world believes in some higher power. So they're in the minority, atheists for sure. I don't understand how you cannot believe in anything. To me, that's just strange and hopeless and horrible. How you can look around this world and think that that nobody created this or whatever. But when they go out of their way to try to convince people or mock God, that really, really bothers me more than anything. They can believe what they want, but I don't like when they use their platform to mock God. And if you don't believe in God, why would you go so out of your way to disprove him? That doesn't make sense to me.
You know what is atheism? For many atheists, they're like activists. It's a religion of its own.
That's exactly.
Yeah,
it is
its
a
own
religion of its own.
I know that might sound odd to some of you guys out there when I say that atheists creep me out. I just get a sense.
So what did S.E. Cup do? Because we're digressing into a different topic.
I already
here.
said at the beginning. I said that she was bad-mouthing Trump. She said she's nauseous that Trump is having his press conference.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
And that we're not going to have a Jesus moment. Yeah. Go, you're on CNN. You're irrelevant.
So wait, she's an atheist, but she says we're not going to have a Jesus moment?
Yeah, it's a catchphrase.
See, there's the paradox once again. She's an atheist, but then they'll use God or Jesus as a reference point. So deep down, they do believe.
Well,
they do believe. They know deep down.
And what should make S.E. Cup nauseous is that they have pedo producers over there at CNN.
Well, yeah.
That should make S.E. Cup nauseous, not Donald Trump and not Trump supporters.
Yeah, well.
I'm sorry.
I'm interested to see how this thing plays out with Trump with the vaccine. We'll see what happens with this. I'm just really curious about that because he's talked about it twice now in the last week, but it's nothing he hasn't said before. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Well, yeah.
I think there's a lot of fake MAGA that are trying to use it to divide. But every person I know that's MAGA says, look, he said this before. It's no big deal. It's not a deciding factor for them. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too concerned. And by the time he runs for president, it won't even be an issue, I don't think.
Well, listen, we're all out of time, but we'll be back next time. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Talk to you next time.
There's nothing like a beautiful piece of handcrafted jewelry. Jewelry that makes a statement and looks amazing when it's worn. Zod Jewelry on Etsy understands the power of jewelry. They handcraft gold pieces using beautiful gemstones that bring sparkle and magic into your life. Zod Jewelry have an incredible variety to choose from. Whether you're looking for necklaces, rings, earrings, bracelets, or pendants, they have items made with gold, silver, emeralds, diamonds, moissanite, and more. These pieces are perfect no matter your style or occasion. They have vintage and modern looks too. The owner of Zod Jewelry graduated from GIA, which is the world's most renowned and respected institution in the field of jewelry and gemstones. And now she's bringing her expertise to you. Check out her shop right now. Zod Jewelry on Etsy. Etsy.com/shop/Zod Jewelry. That's Etsy.com/shop/Zod Jewelry.